Welcome to Vacuum Wars and to our review of the MOVA P10 Pro Ultra, a robot vacuum mop combo from a newer brand. This robot has been selling really well online, in part because of its comparatively low price. So we bought one for ourselves and put it through all kinds of tests over the past few weeks to see if it lived up to the hype. And spoiler alert, I was extremely impressed with the MOVA P10, so much so that we immediately named it our best value robot vacuum on our top 20 robot vacuum list on our website, and in this video, I'll explain why. So links in the description, and let's get started. I want to start off by saying that I've been waiting for a long time for robot vacuums with this many features to start selling at a more reasonable price. It was inevitable that it would happen, but it's taken longer than I would have expected, and the MOVA P10 Pro really represents a significant change in the value proposition of robot vacuums, in my opinion. If the P10 Pro Ultra was selling at its list price of $1,000, it would be a good robot vacuum, but I wouldn't be shouting from the rooftops about it. But since its release, it's been consistently selling for around $600 and even $500 during a recent sale. And if that trend continues, then the P10 Pro Ultra really is a shout from the rooftops kind of value. So let's jump into the pros, and the first thing is that it's really good at its main job of vacuuming hard floors and carpets. It has a fairly standard main brush and floating brush roll housing with a single side brush that works well with the main brush to sweep up debris, and it did so extremely efficiently in the various pickup tests that we do. It was able to cleanly pick up everything from fine debris on hard floors all the way up to extra large debris on both surface types. Its side brush can also automatically extend to better sweep corner debris. This is a fairly new feature for robot vacuums, and it really did well with this in our tests. Its practical performance results were very good too. For example, in the carpet deep clean test, where we see how good robots are at picking up deeply embedded debris like sand in carpets, it was well above average, scoring higher than even some robots twice its price. Same thing with the crevice pickup score, where it was also as good or better than its more expensive competitors. Its main brush was also good at resisting hair tangles in the 7-inch hair test that we did, and its overall power numbers were also above average, including its suction and airflow on max power. So in terms of basic performance, the MOVA P10 Pro Ultra had top-tier scores. Continuing with hardware features on the robot, on the top it has a traditional spinning LiDAR sensor, which makes it very accurate at creating maps of your house and navigating around efficiently. In our navigation and coverage tests, it was above average with navigation efficiency and coverage, and when combined with its amazing battery life, using a 5200 mAh battery, it had one of the best battery efficiency scores I've ever seen, and its estimated square feet per charge numbers were amazing. It also has front-mounted obstacle avoidance sensors, including a camera, structured light sensors, as well as an LED light so it can see better under furniture or in the dark. It was trained on 70-plus objects and was pretty decent at recognizing and avoiding objects in our tests. It got a score of 19, where the average is about 17, and a perfect score is 24. So not perfect, but it was better at avoiding objects than any robot vacuum I've seen in this price range. The MOVA P10 Pro also has a mopping system with all the top-tier mopping features. It uses 2 spinning mop pads with electronically controlled water dispensing. Its 2 mop pads lift up automatically when the robot senses carpets, so that it can vacuum and mop homes with a mixture of hard floors and carpets in the same run, which is an incredibly important feature for efficiency's sake. One of its mop pads will automatically extend when it senses that it is close to walls to get significantly better edge coverage, and here again it did well in the test with this, and you can control this feature with the app. But probably one of the biggest pros is its multifunctional charging dock, which has almost every important feature you would want in a premium robot vacuum dock. Not only does it empty the contents of the robot's dustbin into its disposable bag when it returns to the base, but it can also wash its mop pads with hot water, dry the mop pads with hot air, and refill the robot's clean water tank. It also has some of the more advanced bin features, like bin self-cleaning, where a module at the bottom of the base mechanically cleans leftover debris. But you can also remove the tray for manual deep cleaning, which is not always the case. You can also control in the app how often the robot returns to its bin to empty itself or to clean its pads during a run. It has detergent filling and even a dirty water sensor, so it can tell how dirty its mop water is in order to determine how much to wash the mop pads. Moving on to the app, the MOVA app was a pleasant surprise for a new company. It seems like apps are getting better across the board, and this app was hard to distinguish from a top-of-the-line competitor. It, like the others, has all the major features we've come to expect, including things like multi-level mapping, virtual barriers, carpet boost, individual room settings, and granular control over just about everything. The app also has advanced features like its own virtual assistant voice activation and pet-related features where it can go find your pet or virtual call with them, again much like modern flagships, but at a dramatically reduced price. It can't all be good stuff though, so let's move on to the cons. Its mopping performance scores on our dried-on stain mopping test were a little below average. It wasn't terrible, and the P10 Ultra is still going to effectively mop normal household dried-on stains, though it was less good than some of the more expensive competitors with regard to these extremely difficult stains in our tests. Another test it didn't do as good on is the 2.5-inch flattened pet hair pickup test on carpet. This is a test we've introduced recently because we found that when you flatten pet hair on carpet, some robot vacuums aren't as good at picking that up. And the P10 picked up about 66% of the hair where the average is 80%, so slightly below average, but it should be said that on hard floors it was perfect with hair pickup, as most robot vacuums are. The final con for me is that MOVA is a relatively new company, and because it's new, there are a lot of unknowns. Will it break down? Will the company honor their warranties? These are things that are hard for us to test, which is why on our top 20 robot vacuum list on our website, we've started to incorporate online ratings like from Amazon as a heavily weighted metric. So if people like it over time, it will rise in our rankings, and if people don't like it over time, it will fall. But when you add up all of our scores from all the different categories, the MOVA P10 Pro Ultra was incredibly impressive. Currently, it's ranking in the top 10 on the Vacuum Wars Top 20 list, which is almost unheard of for a robot vacuum in this price range. And as I said at the beginning, we've crowned it our best value robot vacuum at the moment, and I suspect that it's going to hold that title for several months. Links in the description to our top 20 list and to the MOVA P10 Pro Ultra, and don't forget to subscribe to Vacuum Wars before you leave. Thanks for watching. All of the links in the description are updated regularly to reflect our current favorite vacuums in multiple categories. You'll also find links to the Vacuum Wars website in the description, where we have more detailed lists of our favorite products, like our new top 20 robot vacuums list, which is updated weekly.